Okay, so welcome. Today, we are here to study A Course in Miracles, the text. My name is Eloisa Ramos, and I'm here with my friend Connie. Hi,
Hello.
Connie. And my daughter Sonia.
Hi.
Hi. And today we are going to continue with chapter 2, the separation and the atonement. And we left off on section 5. And it's subsection A, special principles of miracle workers. Okay, all right, so I'll take the first one here. The miracle abolishes the need for lower order concerns, since it is an out of pattern time interval. The ordinary considerations of time and space do not apply. When you perform a miracle, I will arrange both time and space to adjust to it. Okay, so.
Okay, honey.
Okay, so we said that the miracle was, that the source of the miracle was love, and it's a love that is God. So it is out of time because eternity is not in time. Eternity is an idea that says there is no time, because time would be a limitation of eternity. And so because the source of the miracle, which I want to add, is true authority, because this week I've been working with authority problems, and there's going to be a chapter here where it talks about the authority problem, but you know, there's world authority. So if we go to world authority for solution, we are in time, and we are having a problem in time, and then we are going to a place, a person, something in time to solve it. So we're staying within the idea of limitation to try to solve our problem of limitation. And that's why it doesn't result in a true permanent solution. It may solve it for a little while. So it can be a temporary solution. But the miracle here abolishes the need for lower order concerns. And so the lower order concerns would be those concerns that we have every day in time, believing that we are in time. You know, what do we need to do in time? Well, you know, we're concerned with, yes, I want to make sure that I have something to eat today, and I don't want to go hungry. I want to make sure that I get to work on time. I want to make sure that I, let's see, that I can perform my responsibilities to whoever I have. So, so the miracle releases us from the need to have those lower order concerns, because we can just trust that all of that's going to get taken care of. We can just kind of assume, yes, I'm going to have something to eat. You know, yes, I don't have to rush because it's going to be okay. I'm going to get to work on time. And yes, if I, you know, can't manage all my responsibilities, people are going to understand. They're going to be forgiving. So, so the miracle is an out of pattern time interval, out of pattern time interval. So time, when we live in time, we establish patterns of behavior, patterns of preferences of what we like, patterns of who we hang out with, patterns of, what we watch on TV at night. There's all these patterns of what we do and what we say and how we behave. Um, and 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 these and for the most part, those run unconsciously, and they for the most part they quote unquote run us our life. But these are ordinary considerations of time, and for the miracle they do not apply. What it means is that they do not have authority, because the miracle recognizes where the true power of authority is, and that it is unconditional love. So when you perform a miracle, number 3, I will arrange both time and space to adjust to it. And that's why we can see change. So the miracle, that's why we can see, but that's the effect. So when you perform a miracle, okay, the miracle is the change in mind, okay, but how it shows up in time and space is like, oh my gosh, the problem that the problem I thought that I had is not there. So space and time adjust to it because time and space are the effect of the mind, not the other way around. So, okay. So any questions with that? No? Okay. Okay, go ahead with number 2, Sonia.
Okay, 2. A clear distinction between what is created and what is made is essential. All forms of healing rest on this fundamental correction in level perception.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is the distinction? Do you guys remember here between what is created and what is made?
Well, the ego makes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so what are some of the, how can we tell when the ego has made something? How do we know that that's not a creation? Because we tend to use the word create when we use our imagination to make things up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, whatever we make is going to be very specific. It's going to be very personal. It's going to be subjective. And it's not going to be eternal. It's going to be temporary.
No.
So whether it's a fictional story that we make up in our mind, or whether it's an interpretation of what happened to me today, and I come and tell you, oh, guess what happened to me today, okay? I'm going to be telling you my interpretation of it. So I'm not creating anything there. I am making, I'm making up my own experience of what I thought happened today. Or let's see, I can make, let's see. I mean, I can make things too. I can make a birthday cake. And someone can say, oh my goodness, you did such a beautiful job. That's a beautiful creation. Okay. But it's not eternal. It's going to be gone in a little bit. So, and so we need to understand that creation is coming from the mind that is healed. And all forms of healing rest on the this fundamental correction in level perception. Yeah, so the cause of the miracle is always at the level of creation, which is the level of God, of eternal love, not humanly love. Yeah. Any questions with that one?
No, it just reminds me of what I was telling you before of like when I make my art. Before when I was younger, I always thought, oh, I have to imagine it. I have to be creative. Like I have to pull the creativity from my imagination, and that's what makes an artist, you know. But that's just completely, from what I'm experiencing now, it's completely upside down because all of the art that I'm making now is not, I can't take ownership for it. I think I can't, it's not coming from my imagination. I just get it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw this. Or it's basically, I'm just a tool to be used to communicate whatever it is that is showing up through my art. So I think the creating and the making distinction was just a huge upside down for me for so many years because I thought that's what an artist was. You had to imagine, but I think that's wrong, at least for me.
Yeah, and I think that a critical element is in the guidance, because from when you are just there and you're just receiving and putting it down in a form, you're receiving guidance, you're receiving higher guidance. So that's kind of like the miracle. You're using the body as an instrument of communication for what is our true creations, which are beautiful. I forget where we read that our true creations are beautiful. We are created to create the beautiful and the joyful, or something like that we read before. And when we try to do it the other way, we're really focusing on our own limited resources to come up with something.
Yeah.
Some kind of solution or something like that. So it makes it really hard. It takes a lot of effort. And the other way, it's just a matter of receiving. So it's very easy.
Oh yeah. No, honestly, like before when I was trying to like come up with things, like it was a struggle. Like I literally would put like hours and hours into a piece just to hate it like after I made it. And so I didn't like anything that I made from when I was younger, you know. But now I love all of the stuff that I'm doing now because it's so effortless. Like I don't need to think of anything. I don't have to come up with anything. It's just there. I just have to sit down and just let it, however it's going to turn out. I don't know. So yeah, that's a really good point.
So I want to ask you, so do you have a certain time when you just like, you want to go create something, so you sit down and you plan that time and then just kind of allow things to flow through you? Or is this just kind of an all the time thing?
Well, it's not that I just sit down and I kind of let it happen. There has been one instance where that's happened, but I think mostly I will like read something just throughout my day. I'll either read something or see something. Maybe I'm taking a walk, or I'll hear somebody say something, or they're just like little like things that just kind of like I kind of like see an image of a picture that I know that's what I'm gonna draw. Like it's just instant. It's like an instant download. So I end up I have to write it down, or I have to do something, because it's like it's kind of like impulse, like I have to record this or like draw it, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, Connie?
Never confuse right and wrong mindedness. Responding to any form of error with anything except a desire to heal is an expression of this confusion.
Mhm. Yes. Okay. And the right and wrong mindedness is also referred to as true and false perception. And so to respond, so when we're wrong-minded, okay, we're perceiving falsely. And what that means is that we are believing something that is not true. But because we are giving it our belief, we are perceiving it as if it was real and true, but it's not. So it's almost like a little form of deception. And that's why it's an error, because within us, there's going to have to be a split there, because we're not being wholly integrated. We're not integrated. We're splitting some part of ourselves. So, if we do something and we're doing it for the wrong reason, okay, so maybe I am being maybe I am behaving in a very kind way, but maybe I'm doing it because I want to impress you and I want to be pleasing to you because maybe I want something from you. Okay. So I'm not just giving to give, I'm giving to get. And if I do that, then there's a part of me that's being sincere in the giving, and there's a part of me that's not being sincere in the giving. And that's why there's a split there. And once there's a split, then that's an error. There's a glitch. Okay. And that's going to be a block to healing. Because in order to heal the error, we have to be able to look at our inner state and see that it is not completely honest and whole. Okay. And we need to look at the error without judgment. Okay. Without like putting ourselves down, like, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person. Here I am faking being, kind, and I'm not kind. Okay. So we want to respond to seeing the error with only the desire to heal it, because that's the only purpose for looking at the error. Okay, now what we've done is we've trained ourselves to seek and find error in ourselves and in others, but not for the purpose of healing. We use it for a lot of other purposes. Sometimes because we want to point it out and make ourselves look better. Oh, you did that wrong. It should be done this way. So we're using correction of the error as a way to make a separation of inequality between me knowing more than you, kind of a thing. And so any kind of error that we perceive is, if we desire to heal it, then we want to look at it only for the purpose of giving it to the Holy Spirit to release it. Because if we don't, we're just going to add another layer of error to the error. And it's going to stay stuck. So, and it's going to stay stuck because we're going to hold on to and protect our wrong-mindedness. So, okay. So anything there?
Well, I have trouble with this concept, considering the experience with the fire. So, and perception, right and wrong mindedness. And I'm sorry about all the interruption with the kittens. It doesn't work when I'm in this room. So next time I will be sure to try and do this in another room. So anyway, yeah, the right and wrong mindedness. So the error, I guess, is seeing what? Danger? Fear? Is that the error?
Well, yeah, that's part of the error. Okay. But right off the bat, you know, a fire itself is an error, right? Because for the most part, we build our homes and we do our best to keep it safe. And so, however the fire started, that would have been considered an error, right?
Okay. However, meaning
what was fire doing in your home?
created?
In other words, what was fire doing in your home? It doesn't belong in your home. Does it belong in your home?
No,
No,
I hope not.
no. So
What was
because
it doing?
it's a threat. Yeah, because it's a threat to safety, right? Yes, yes. So when we are threatened, when our safety is threatened, okay, that's an error. So we want to respond to that with a desire to heal that. Okay, so, okay, I'm feeling threatened, which you said is fear. Okay, and so I want to release the fear because feeling threatened is not what I, you know, what I want to experience. So we don't want to add another layer of, oh, you know, I am such a weak person for being scared. I shouldn't have been scared. You know, if I start judging how I reacted to that situation, okay, then I am responding to that form of error, not solely with the desire to heal it, because I'm adding extra layers of judgment on top of it. And then each of those layers is going to have to be released in order to get to the error that's under there. And fundamentally, fear is the only error because everything else is a form of fear. So you're connecting to the kind of to the nitty gritty there of the error, which is it's either love or it's fear. And our only job as a miracle worker is to release fear. Because what happens in the world is part of the lessons that we are here to learn. And if we hold on to the fear, it's going to interfere with us learning the lesson. Okay, and the lesson is the separation never happened. It's the acceptance of the atonement. The separation never happened. I am not a body. Therefore, I cannot be vulnerable and weak and I cannot be threatened by fire, because death itself is a belief from the wrong mind that I am a body and that I can be threatened. So the right mind is right perception, because it's grounding us with the truth that love is the only reality. And when we are not in that place, and we end up in the wrong mind, which is the ego thought system of fear, then we are identifying with what this thought system says that we are, which is an ego or a body that can die. And so we are afraid because we're afraid of dying, because we believe it. We believe that we are a body and that we're not eternal. So we have forgotten our eternal nature as spirit. And so that's all we're practicing here with what shows up in our life, is we are practicing letting go of fear so we can remember love, because that's the truth. And so any form of error, any type of experience that is fearful, or that we have a problem with, we need to recognize it to be an opportunity for healing our mind. And we're talking about healing the mind that believes it is the ego and the body, because that mind is sick and needs healing. The right mind is not sick. So the right mind does not need healing. It's the mind that has forgotten love. That believes it is separate from love, and believes it has changed itself and is no longer eternal spirit. So when we react to what happens in our life with any other purpose other than the desire to heal the error, then we're making the error personal, and we're going to end up judging it and judging ourselves, or judging whatever. The ego mind is going to go into, okay, well, who's at fault here? Who's to blame? And how can I make sure I know what happened so that it doesn't repeat again in the future? But that's going to be a level confusion, because I'm believing that the cause of it is in something that went wrong in the physical world, or something that somebody did wrong, or something, it's the cause is not going to be, it's going to be reversed, so that the mind is not going to be the cause of it. Our mind, we're going to forget that it is our mind that is the causal level, and that's where we need to go to heal the problem. And that's why we tend to look for solutions in the world to all of our problems, because it's a confusion of the levels of where the source of the problem is. Does that make sense, Connie?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, number 4. The miracle is always a denial of this error and an affirmation of the truth. Only right-mindedness can correct in a way that has any real effect. Pragmatically, what has no real effect has no real existence. Its effect then is emptiness, being without substantial content. It lends itself to projection. Okay, so the miracle would demonstrate and would give us the insight that the error is not really an error. Okay, and a lot of times it's really hard to see that immediately, but sometimes with when you look back after a few years, you say, oh my goodness, that was a terrible error that I made, but it actually was really helpful. And it helped me to make a decision that was really important in my life and helpful in my life. So we tend to judge error as bad. And because we judge it bad, that's how we hold it in our mind, in our memory, in our thinking. And once we hold it that way, we are going to forget that its only purpose there is to help us learn the lesson to heal our mind. And therefore, it can serve the purpose of affirming the truth.
There is really no error. The only purpose is so we can heal the mind.
Exactly. Yes. And only the right mind can correct in a way that has any real lasting effect. So that's what I was saying, is that it's okay to go to the worldly solutions, but they're not going to last. So we always have to go to our mind to correct the error. And the correction is coming from our right-mindedness, which is the Holy Spirit, which is the link, the communication link to knowledge, to higher truth. So that mind, which is our true mind, recognizes that the effects of error, which are the effects of the ego thought system, are not real effects, because their cause is not real. They're false thoughts. And because that mind recognizes that, it lets go of judging it bad, and now it can see it as good. So it's a shift in perception, which is what the miracle is. And so pragmatically, what has no real effect has no real existence. So everything that we are releasing or healing has no real existence. And in effect is emptiness, being without substantial content. It lends itself to projection. So that's why we release it, okay? Because it's all just imaginary stuff. And because it's imaginary, it's stuff that is in our thinking that we are believing, that we can believe is true. And it's not it's not tolerable really for our thinking mind to hold on to. I think you could say that's what insanity is, right? Is if we hold on to all these ideas that are not true, but we believe them. And so they become true for us. So we're walking around with these, a perception that's almost like wearing this, I don't know, like one of those virtual reality glasses. We're walking around with this virtual reality environment that we've made out of all these imaginary things that we believe in. and we're walking around and we're interacting with people, but all we're seeing, we have this veil right in front that's interfering with our interaction that I'm having with Sonia, because what I'm seeing is just all my own ideas about Sonia. That is not Sonia. Okay. um, and that's the past. I'm holding on to all my past beliefs. You know, what I concluded was true, what I concluded was unfair, what I concluded, all of the grievances that I'm holding on to from my past. Who knows, even from my collective upbringing, my collective, you know, respective culture background, all that stuff is in there. And it can really cloud perception, and that's why it's false perception, because it's distorted now. I can't see Sonia clearly, and I can't see that she is a part of what I am. I can't see that there's no separation there. And because I've made up this separation, then I can project all of this stuff onto her and say, oh yes, everything I'm seeing here, that's really Sonia over there. So I'm just projecting that onto her as if it was in her and not in my own imagination. And that's projection, basically. I unconsciously put out there what I, you know, have judged in the past to be myself, but which I don't like. So it's out there now. It's her, not me. It's a little bit what it says in the New Testament, and it said, you know, something about, why do you see the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your eye? It's a little bit like that, the projection part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Sonia.
5. The level adjustment power of the miracle induces the right perception for healing. Until this has occurred, healing cannot be understood. Forgiveness is an empty gesture unless it entails correction. Without this, it is essentially judgmental rather than healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one of the interesting things about forgiveness, before I started studying A Course in Miracles, is that for me, forgiveness was, okay, I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to seek revenge on you. Okay, but you definitely did me wrong. Okay, that was my interpretation of forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to let it slide, but I'm not going to let go of my judgment that you did me wrong. And so what it's saying here is that and when I look at it that way, I am confusing the levels, because what I'm saying is my suffering was caused by what you did. Okay. And I'm making her doing the cause rather than my own thinking, my own ego mind. Okay. So that's if I don't make that level adjustment, then I'm not going to be able to truly forgive. And that's the miracle. Forgiveness, true forgiveness is a miracle. We're choosing the miracle over the grievance. But the miracle itself has that power of the level of adjustment, which puts us in our right mind to perceive truly for that error to be healed. And until this has occurred, healing cannot be understood. because the level adjustment puts the cause where the mind is, which is the only level of healing, because that's where the error occurs. It doesn't occur out in the world where we think we see it. It's not what they do. It's not what, you know, I did. It's not. And that's a really big thing to reverse, because I grew up believing in sin, of course, and sin is always about what I did or I didn't do. You know, it's about being unkind, but it's about being unkind with what I say, with what I do, and with how I behave as an ego body. So the belief in sin entails my identification with being an ego body. And so that's why it says in line 3, forgiveness is an empty gesture unless it entails correction. And that's the interesting thing about the forgiveness definition in A Course in Miracles. It says, you know, I forgive my brother for what my brother did not do. Okay. So I am acknowledging that the source, the error is in my own interpretation, in my own thinking, in my own way of looking at it, and not in what he did. That's not where the cause of the problem is. And so without this, it is essentially judgmental rather than healing. Yes. So unless I forgive, recognizing that it's not my brother's fault here, there is no fault, there is no guilt. It's just an error in my own thinking. That will just stay as a judgment and it will not heal. So the judgment has to be released for the healing, for true forgiveness. Yeah.
So are you saying then, because this morning I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have so many things to forgive right now. And so if I just, to get to the right level, just, well, nothing really happened here.
Exactly. So what
But
you're forgiving is the misperception of seeing all these things as guilty and needing forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I was thinking, oh, it needs to be a big drawn out process. But if you can just go right there, oh, well, that really didn't happen. I don't know. It's
Well,
the way I think it happened, or why I think it happened, or
yes. So the facts are the facts. Yes, it happened. Okay. But then the meaning that you give to what happened is the judgment that needs to be released.
rather than realizing it was something for my own healing.
Yes, because that's part of the script. Who else wrote that in your experience other than yourself? Right?
Oh man, need a new author.
No, we just need to change our mind, which is basically the same thing, Connie, a new author. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it's not so much an author, it's an interpreter, you know? Do you see what I'm saying?
I hear all this. I read all this. Man, when you're in the thick of it, it's tricky. It is tricky.
Yes, it really is, but you realize something really important there. Okay. When you said, okay, I have all these things to forgive, but if I bring that all to my mind, okay, then it's all the same thing. It's really just one problem.
one big misperception, and that it's all good. Everything is good that occurs, that seems to occur.
Well, yes, there is a lesson for me to learn, and it is going to be helpful in the healing of my mind. So I want to be open to the lesson that's there. And in order to be open to it, we have to let go of judging it bad or
Mhm.
painful or hurtful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Is it your turn, Connie? I can't remember.
I think so.
Okay, I think so. Number
6.
6. Yeah. Miracle-minded forgiveness is only correction. It has no element of judgment at all. The statement, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do, end of quote, in no way evaluates what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It is an appeal to God to heal their minds. There is no reference to the outcome of the error. That does not matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At one point, when I mentioned this quote, you said, and I don't know if this still rings true for you, that, well, no, they do know what they do.
Well, at an unconscious level, we do know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But when we are open to knowing, we will remember that we do know.
God.
but when we are in a place of not right-mindedness, no, we're going to swear we don't know. Because the mind is split. We've split off the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. And therefore, the only conscious, um, the only thing that we think is what we put in the conscious part of the mind. And everything else that we've repressed is, all the past grievances, all of the beliefs that we came in with, all of that stuff is in the background. And it's kind of running the show. So it's a little bit like being hypnotized. Okay. So when you're hypnotized and someone gives you the command to act like a chicken and you're acting like a chicken, okay, you don't know what you're doing, okay, but you did agree to be hypnotized and you did allow yourself to take on that suggestion to do that. So unconsciously, you are knowing. Do you see what
That's
I'm
a good
saying?
example. God.
So we have to cooperate in some way when we are hypnotized and acting like a chicken. We're not totally not knowing. But I'm going to forgive you, okay, if you're acting like a chicken and you step on my foot, okay, because you're hypnotized. So yeah, and you don't know what you're doing, and maybe you think, whatever. We don't know what you're thinking. That's the whole point. We cannot know what someone else is thinking when they're doing what they're doing, and we can't try to understand it and get into their heads. All we have to do is just say, okay, they're not in their right mind, and I know what that's like, so I would want to be forgiven for it, so I'm going to forgive them. Yeah. So it takes us out of trying to evaluate what they do, whether it's right or wrong, and whether it's whether it goes beyond the the line of forgiveness. You know, some things are forgivable and some things are not forgivable. And we try to evaluate everything that someone does and, you know, based on that, like, oh, no, I'm a forgiving person, but he crossed the line, you know? So, so that's,
Yeah, yep.
yeah,
There
yeah. So there's no element in
levels.
judgment. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. So, number 7, the injunction be of one mind is the statement for revelation readiness. My request, quote, do this in remembrance of me, unquote, is the appeal for cooperation from miracle workers. The two statements are not in the same order of reality. Only the latter involves an awareness of time, since to remember is to recall the past in the present. Time is under my direction, but timelessness belongs to God. In time, we exist for and with each other. In timelessness, we coexist with God. That's actually a really beautiful paragraph. So the injunction be of one mind is the statement for revelation readiness. And so revelation is the last step. That's what God gives to us, which is knowledge. You know, it's there's no perception there. There's no fear at all. But all we're doing is we are making ourselves ready to receive that. And to be ready to receive that, we need to recognize that there are not separate minds. There are not private minds. So the example of being hypnotized, you can think of that as a private mind. Well, of course, it's private mind. Who knows? You know, he's got his own personal beliefs, and one of them now is that he's a chicken, so he's going to behave that way. Okay, and I don't have that belief, so I'm thinking, well, he's got his own mind and I have my own mind because I have my own set of beliefs and I make my own set of experiences, and he's making his own experience of experiencing being a chicken. Okay. Well, so when we say that we are of one mind, we're saying, well, how is that possible? How is it possible that we can be of one mind when we are listening to individual beliefs, personal beliefs, and that is the ego thought system. So the ego thought system is based on personal judgments that we have accepted as personal beliefs and preferences, and that's sort of what we believe gives us our own unique personality and quirkiness and specialness and all of that. But the ego thought system is really just a collective one mind that holds all these beliefs that are not true. So whether it's the ego thought system or whether it's the thought system of God, it's still just one mind. And our brain, which is not the mind, okay, is then picking and choosing kind of like which beliefs to make personal and which beliefs to not make personal. But that doesn't mean that I have a private mind. It just means that I have made a private wardrobe to wear. And so I can look a certain way. But the wardrobe is one collective thought system. And then I just go in there and pick out costumes. Oh, today I'm going to wear this costume and tomorrow I'm going to wear this or whatever. So there's variety and there's differences and all of that. But the mind itself, you can think of it as where all of the ideas or clothing or costumes hang. And then we all access that same wardrobe, but not the same dress necessarily. Every once in a while, maybe we'll pull, the same one, whatever. But so the idea that we are of one mind recognizes that we are not separate, even though we can appear differently to one another. The mind is not separate. So request do this in remembrance of me. So is cooperation for miracle workers. So to remember that we are one mind. And because we are one mind, the error that I see in you is not your error. It's not like, oh, too bad, you're stuck with that error. No, I'm seeing it too. Well, it's in my mind too. It's not like, oh, every man for himself here, you heal your own errors and I heal my own errors. They're all collective errors. So let's see. Yeah. And so let's see. So the thing about the order of reality. So the order of reality has to do with time and eternity. So do this in remembrance of me is about time. It's about past. So but time is under my direction. That's the Holy Spirit. But timelessness belongs to God. And that's why revelation is an experience of timelessness. And that comes from God. So that's not something the Holy Spirit can give us. But in time, we exist for and with each other. That's it. We cannot, what's the word? I can't leave you behind. So the idea of every person for themselves, that's not true, because as long as we have an experience, a physical experience of being in time, then we exist for and with each other, because it is one mind. It's one ego thought system. And that's why the Course says, how many saviors does it take to save the world? Well, it's just one, okay? Because it's just one mind. And in timelessness, yeah, we coexist with God. So the last step is the revelation, which is the letting go of the belief in time. And therefore, it's a coexistence with God, who has no awareness that any such idea exists as time, because God is eternal. There is no chunks and pieces that eternity can be broken into, to be made into bits of time. Okay. Okay, anything more with that?
No.
Okay. Sonia, number 8.
8. You can do much on behalf of your own healing and that of others if, in a situation calling for help, you think of it this way: I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal.
Okay, so so line 4, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do. Okay, because he who sent me will direct me. So that's where the trust comes in. So in any situation, we need to be in a place of trust that I don't have to figure things out for myself. I don't have to depend on my own limited knowing and resources to try to solve whatever the problem is in this situation. I don't have to worry about any of the specifics of what to say or what to do, okay? Because all of that will be brought forth through guidance. So to be truly helpful, I need to get the idea that I'm going to be the one in charge of helping out of the way. So all good things, all help come from our higher mind, from God, from love. Okay. It's a higher resource for us that is available to us. The problem is that little self, that little ego self gets in the way and wants to take over and says, oh, I know what the problem is. I've had that happen to my friend before. Let me tell you what they did. Okay, and this is what you have to do. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so we want to turn ourselves into little experts of problem solving, problem solving. and, and the situation is probably calling for something completely different. Okay, so so it does take a stepping back and sort of keeping our ego out of the way, because it's almost like it's almost like a little child that has to get his hands on everything, And it's like, okay, relax, just step back, take a deep breath, and trust that you are not alone. You are not separate. You are, yes, you are having an experience in time, but we were given the answer. We were given a helper, which is the Holy Spirit, and that's our higher guidance. That's our connection to knowledge. And if that's there, for goodness sakes, let's do our best to get that little self out of the way, because it's in our best interest to be truly helpful. And take direction from that. So it's basically switching the teacher from the ego to the Holy Spirit. And, number 5, it says, I am content to be wherever he wishes. I am not going to let my little ego, oh, well, I don't like it here. I'm so uncomfortable here. Why did I even come to help? It has this whole little, kind of poor sweet baby kind of complain kind of a thing going that that can be cute sometimes, like a little baby is cute, but man, it's tiring. It's really tiring. It's very, very needy. And it's a little tyrant that tries to control you through fear, basically, or through guilt, or through shaming, things like that. So, so we need to be able to kind of step out of that and just take a deep breath and just trust that I am going to be guided, that that God has my back here. The Holy Spirit has my back, and that I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So, okay. So anything there?
No, that's a really great paragraph to remember
It
all of
is.
that.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I know Sharon would start her group with that.
Mhm. Yep, she
Yeah.
still does. Yes.
Mm.
Um, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I think this is the end of the section. So this is probably a good place to stop. Let me go ahead and stop here. I'm just going to stop the recording and then we can decide if we want to continue for a little longer. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next section.